Welcome to the Papa Meat channel. Today we're going to be talking with one of my favorite content creators, Wendigoon, about Halloween recommendations. Wendigoon, what is your actual name? I don't think I even know your name.
Well, first of all, Papa Meat, thank you very much for having me. I appreciate it. Big fan of your content as well. And my actual name is Isaiah.
Isaiah.
You don't have to call me Wendigoon the whole time.
Yeah, Isaiah is a little more of an easier sell than just saying Wendigoon. Now, Wendigoon, what exactly are your favorite horror films? Today we are going to be talking about Halloween recommendations. I have broken up my Halloween recommendations into 4 weeks. The first week is folk horror. The second week is found footage. The third week is monster, and I always wrap it up with a free-for-all. You said you did the same?
Yes, I've got a comprehensive list of just all kinds of stuff. A lot of it does fit into those categories. There may be some stuff that I kind of try to cram in there, but I think it'll work out. I think it'll all level out, so I'm excited.
Let's kick it off into folk horror! I'm curious, and I want to know what's the first one on your list?
The first one on my list, to go ahead and break out the whole debatably folk horror, is Hereditary.
You tried to kill me.
I love you.
Why did you try to kill me?
I did. I was trying to save you.
Why did you try to kill me?
I know everyone's seen Hereditary. I know it's like, the movie that people watch. But for me, Hereditary was scarier on the second watch through. Because the first time you watch it, you're like, wow, her head got knocked off. Spoilers, I guess. It was all over. It would just bleep that. It'll be fine. You're like reacting to all of this stuff and what's going on. And then at the end, you kind of have the revelation of it. So the second time through, you can see the pieces being put together. For me, the third watch through was the scariest because as I have done my own research into things on demonology and pagan mythologies, and I take that knowledge and then I watch Hereditary, they did a scary amount of homework when it came to that movie.
Definitely.
Between the symbols that are used to how these specific rituals take place, it is mortifying to think of how all these pieces came together. It seems how the family was cursed to deal with this from the start. So for me, it gets more creepy every time I watch it. So watch Hereditary if you haven't, and if you have, watch it again.
This week's video is sponsored by Empires and Puzzles. Empires and Puzzles is an award-winning free-to-play Match 3 puzzle game. What sets this game apart from other Match 3 games is that it's also a story-based RPG. Your journey will take you through many worlds as you fight across the depths of Atlantis, ancient Viking lands, and even against mythical gods. And with over 400 heroes and different talents to spec into, there's a ton of replayability to the games as you level up your team to become the strongest possible. Each player can join a guild and participate in PvP raids and head-to-head battles for sweet loot. Play your cards right, and you might even see your name on the PvP leaderboards. The game has been around for 5 years with millions of players in their active community, which means there are always updates and new rollouts of events and challenges. Right now we're in the spooky Halloween event with 5 new exclusive heroes. You can get exclusive prizes when you play until November
16th.
Download Empires and Puzzles today. It's free to play, tons of fun, and who knows, it might just be the match you're looking for. Thank you, Empires and Puzzles, for sponsoring the video, and back to the video. My first pick for my folk horror is, and I usually start every Halloween, I start with The Wicker Man from 1977.
Yeah.
Do not let the remake with Nicolas Cage judge your perception of the 1977 Wicker Man, because it is so fucking good. It's insane. I absolutely love this film. The mystique and, the investigative side of this, and having this police officer coming, looking for a missing child, basically, on this, kind of isolated island and stuff. And especially for a film that's also dated. I find more and more when I talk to people about horror films now, the older a film gets, usually people are, very uninterested in watching it because they think it feels too dated. But man, some of these classics like Wicker Man, it just holds up. And like even like the art, like you can kind of see the artifacts or like, you know, like film kind of scratches on the screen and like just like the different kind of cameras they're using back then. I think it just adds to this like folk horror vibe, which is like almost like a return to earth kind of like grittier approach to film. And it's just fucking awesome. And if you haven't seen it, you gotta check it out. It's really, really good.
I agree 100%. Again, the Nicolas Cage remake derailed a lot of the traction the idea had, which that version's great for completely different reasons.
Yeah, I mean, watch it during a happy time. Like it's not, you know, if you're going through a really bad time, watch the Nicolas Cage Wicker Man. Him dressed up in that bear suit. I'll have to put the clip up. Him in the bear suit and he just decks that woman in the face is like such a fucking good moment in cinema history.
I love showing people that scene out of context.
I know people, you know, they talk about the bee scene a lot and everything. That's been played over the internet for millennia. But yes, please check out Wicker Man 1977. It's just actually really, really fucking good.
There's something about those kind of movies where it's kind of like a conspiracy horror, right? Because the horror of it is that there is this secret happening around our main character, and the mystery is what creates the fear. And a lot of movies don't really deliver with it, but Wicker Man 97 absolutely had the payoff for that fear that was building up.
What's your next one?
I'm gonna have to say The Ritual.
Phil, what are you doing? Phil, what are you doing? It's okay. It's okay.
Oh, okay. A little Netflix action.
A little Netflix action. Netflix normally delivers duds when it comes to horror, admittedly, but every now and then they do something right. A lot of people watched the movie and they were specifically afraid of what we'll call the antagonist, right? That was the thing that tripped everyone off to it. What scared me is everything around it. It is the idea of a village living in total fear. It's the idea of these animals essentially offered up within these trees, these vigils placed around. It's similar to what you were talking about with the Wicker Man. It's this fear of a knowledge or a creature that has pre-existed you. To a degree, it's kind of within the realm of cosmic horror, that you can't possibly hope to comprehend what's happening. It's very Lovecraftian in that nature. So because of that, whenever you see these elements around our quote-unquote antagonist in The Ritual, it makes me feel like it's not only something we don't know, it's something that we can't know. And a lot of horror comes from that to me.
I think that that's the fun thing with folk horror is like, is it something that should be forgotten? It's like almost a thing that's like forgotten, and is it like supposed to remain forgotten? Is it an innate evil, or is it something that like is coming back with like a vengeance because it has been kind of like forgotten or something? It's really fun. And I will say about The Ritual too, in the same way with like Hereditary, is I love a lot of the symbolism, like really great statue, like the specific statue, of course you probably know which one I'm talking about, but also such a amazing kind of like dreamlike sequences, and also like a fantastic creature design. I mean, like you could put this movie in the monster section too if you wanted to. Like it's fucking awesome. I know my next one would be going back to A24, The Witch. I think it's always a classic.
There you are. Boo! Sam? Samuel!
I love The Witch. All right, very cool.
I had Hereditary on mine as well, so I'm marking mine down.
That was a good handshake.
Yeah, the Witch is probably my favorite horror film by A24, and I think it's like probably like one of the best contemporary horror films by far, but so refreshing, and it feels unknown, and a new kind of colonialization coming in and setting up shop just like in the middle of this like barren landscape in the woods. Is just like the perfect setting for just like a creepy witch film. So fun. The pacing is so well done that like it's like really linear pieces of deception where you're like, what is the villain here? and then they just like blindside you in the face like 6 times, and you like kind of you're like, oh fuck, and then you like get back up. The story comes go along, and then you get fucking
Pretty
blindsided
much.
again, and that's the witch to me. It's just like continuous blindsided hits to the face. It's just awesome. Also, Anna Taylor-Joy, her performance is really good, and I also love the man that is like has a fucking the deepest voice ever known to man.
'Tis no ease to rise on a grey day. The devil holds fast your eyelids.
I love his performance as well. Just really, really good.
The Witch is a movie that from the time I watched it till now, it seems like every day I like it a little bit more. Because I remember when I first watched it, I was like, yeah, that was pretty good. And then as time's gone on, and I think about a lot of the concepts that the film dealt with, I think about like how it played some of the characters, how it played the fear within the movie. It becomes more effective over time, and I think part of the reason for that is that the allegory it presents, this idea of a family who's cast out of Eden essentially, and forced to deal with the sin and wild nature of the wood itself, how they now have to overcome that in a sense. I feel like it is a very fairy tale-esque movie, and not just because of the setting, like not just, it's in older times, but in the fact that it is about like humanity kind of toying with the idea of evil or witchcraft, and because of that, they end up biting off more than they can chew. It's a super effective horror movie. I love the gore elements. I love the monster elements. The end is one of the few recent horror films that legitimately freaked me out. The whole "What's it like to live deliciously?" That whole scene messed with me. Still
Oh
does.
god, dude, that's the kind of shit that gets my dick so hard. I love nice, delicious lines like that. All of those lines and like the lines delivered, and even like the metaphor of like the dad getting killed by the goat, and then like the logs falling over, which is just like a collection of his like own burdens and like lies and insecurities and shit.
Right?
Yeah, exactly. There you go. And then he just corruption, whatever, and just fucking gets killed. So good.
It's so good. Man,
I love it.
The boy coughing up an apple after praying to God.
Well, all right then.
Yeah, what's your next one?
All right, so my next one is actually a Korean horror film called The Wailing.
쳐다보지 마라. 자꾸 이랄까? 미안하다잖아, 아버지가. 내 죽였다 그때. 네가
Yeah.
Are you familiar with The Wailing?
Of course, 2016.
Okay.
That was
Yes,
like
yeah.
one of my go-to recommends for the longest time. Such a beautiful way of mixing Western and like Eastern religions together. I love that movie.
That movie had me guessing the entire way through.
Yes.
Yeah, and not in a way that I didn't know what was going on, in a way that it fully convinced me of what it was trying to convince me of. Up until like the last 2 minutes of the movie, I was like shocked by the breakneck turn. But it's a fantastic horror film about a family who is encountering a spiritual presence that seems hostile, and the slow burn that happens between like the lead character and his daughter and this old man on the outside of the village. It all culminates in a very satisfying and creepy way.
It also touches on probably a reoccurring theme with some of the other movies I'll do here, but another theme that I love in movies is acts of faith. I think like that's like a really fun narrative device to use, and this is like no exception, especially whenever you, the viewer, it's like testing you as like, what you've seen and what you've experienced. It tests you as well. And I don't know, man, Korean films just have been slapping for a long time. Really fucking good movie. I love it.
I tell you what, man, those Korean guys know how to scare me to death. They do it all the time.
Koreans, I don't know why, they know how to fucking get under your skin and just just fuck you up. I don't know what's going on with them. Can't trust them. Don't trust them. Refuse to. That sounds racist.
That's the moral.
No, never mind. Cut it.
진짜 죄송해요. 정말 이런 대랑마녀 딜러들 새끼들.
My last one is going to be An American Werewolf in London.
You really scared me, you shithead. You gonna help me up or what?
It's what you were saying. There's people who look at horror movies by the year, and if they're older, they're like, oh, this won't be scary, right? Mm-hmm. Everyone has to watch an American Werewolf in London. It's a legal requirement.
It's true.
The creature design, the transformation scene, the gore is some of the most effective I've ever seen in anything. And it was a movie made entirely with practical effects, which is always the way to go, in 1981. It has some of the creepiest designs, not only of the monster itself, but of the ghost around the monster, that as a child terrified me more than the monster itself. It's brutal. It's a perfect movie to watch with friends as like a scary monster creature feature. I love it to death. And the reason I categorize it as folk horror is because it relies on the legends of this small village who have a secret that the main character falls into. I firmly think this is like one of the perfect couch horror movies to watch with friends.
It's one of the, in my opinion, one of the, like, I think werewolf films are just hard to sell. I think
yes.
I think it's just, it's kind of a goofy kind of hard thing, but this is like one of those movies where it's actually very effective and fun, and it's always good. And it was made, John Landis, who infamously, people have died on his sets, so you got to check it out in that case too.
Absolutely. Like, how could you not after hearing that?
Yeah, after you hear that, how could you not want to check out a movie?
How could this not be like a fun family adventure to go on?
Yeah, John Landis, the murderer. Not really, but I'm gonna end mine with Mandy.
Yeah, give Nick Cage some credit after you dissed him with Wicker Man. Perfect.
I kind of threw him under the bus a bit there. But Mandy is a total fucking acid trip. I think it's like, it's hard to know if you could consider it to be folk horror.
It is, absolutely.
It has so many elements that veer its way there, but it's also like such a fucking acid trip of a film. It's just like, kind of like you were saying, like a fun movie to watch with like friends, and it's like just all over the place. It has so many like beautiful editing. Like the guy that got to play this like kind of cult leader, Jeremiah Sands, I love that actor. He did a great job in the performance, and it's just it's very hard to even explain. It's just a revenge film, but it's just so fucking trippy. There's that fucking scene where they basically are gonna hire like drug dealers to kidnap Mandy or kill Mandy and Nicolas Cage and have them watch, but instead it's like they come out and they have like a magic fucking like shell that he blows into the night, and like these demons come over the hills on like four-wheelers and motorcycles, and they're all chained up. It's just fucking insane. Like, it's just it's a movie that takes everything literally, and it feels so cartoony and fun, and it's definitely one of those, it's just definitely a movie where it's going to be memorable if you watch it. I really, really enjoyed it.
One of my favorite scenes is when he has a chainsaw, so the guy pulls out an even bigger chainsaw.
Yeah,
Just
you're like, wow,
art.
this is going to be a chainsaw fight, but then you're like, wow. And it's like, there's no way that's a real chainsaw. I don't know what practicality a chainsaw of that degree would go. And I mean, like, for God's sakes, Nicolas Cage, by himself, he forges like a fucking God of War axe that he wields and like hunts down all of these people. It's fucking crazy. Really, really fun.